The cry in the dark. The alien city burned under a black sky. Fires spread across streets that had been alive only hours ago. The air was thick with smoke and the sound of distant screams. Above, the enemy ships hung like dark vultures, dropping fire onto every building they found. Commander Sira ran through the ruins, her armor cracked and scorched, her comlink buzzed in her ear, voices calling for orders, for hope, for anything. But there was nothing left she could give her soldiers. Her people were losing, and every second brought the end closer. She reached the underground command post, the only safe place left in the city. The doors closed behind her, sealing with a heavy clang. Inside, the lights flickered as the power grid failed. Sira walked straight to the central console, ignoring the pain in her leg. "Transmit the distress signal," she ordered, her voice sharp. A young officer looked up at her, his eyes wide. "To who?" Sira didn't hesitate. "To anyone who can hear us." The officer frowned. "Even the Deathworlders?" The room went silent. Everyone knew the legends of humans. They were not like other species. They came from a world that killed the weak and shaped the strong. In war, they were worse than the enemy. They were storms with teeth. No one called them unless there was no other choice. Sira's jaw tightened. Yes, even them. Her hand hovered over the console, then pressed the transmission key. A deep pulse of energy left the station, a message carried through the void, across uncountable light years. "This is Commander Sira of Velar Prime, under attack by the Kravik swarm. Our defenses are broken. Our cities are falling. We request immediate aid, please. Anyone who hears this." She stood there as the signal faded into space. No one in the room spoke. Some lowered their heads, others stared at her like she was already dead. Sira looked at the map on the screen. Enemy fleets circled Velar Prime like predators around a wounded prey. The Kraviks were known for their cruelty. They didn't just conquer, they consumed. They stripped planets bare, turning them into lifeless rock. Once they finished here, there would be nothing left but dust. An old advisor stepped forward, his voice trembling. "If the humans come, will they even care for us after?" Sira met his gaze. "If they come, we will still have a chance. If they don't, then we are already finished." Hours passed. The battle outside slowed, but only because the Kraviks were gathering for a final strike. The people underground waited in silence, the tension crushing. Sira sat by the comm station, her eyes fixed on the screen. She didn't expect an answer. Humans had no reason to help her world. They were far away and her people had never been allies to Earth. Then the console beeped. A single line of text appeared. "Message received." Her heart skipped a beat. The officer beside her stared in disbelief. "It's from Earth. They heard us." Outside, the night sky flashed. For a moment she thought it was another attack, but the pattern was different, too precise. Sira ran outside to the highest point of the bunker, looking toward the heavens. Far above, streaks of light cut through the darkness. They were not meteors, they were ships. Small, fast, and coming in like arrows. The Kravik's patrols broke formation, confused by the sudden arrivals. Her comlink came alive with a voice she had never heard. It was deep, calm, and without fear. "This is Admiral Kane of the Deathworld Fleet. Velar Prime, your signal was received. Hold your ground. Help is on the way." Sira stood frozen. It wasn't just that the humans had answered. It was how he had said it. As if their coming destruction didn't scare him at all. As if this battle was already decided somewhere in the galaxy. The Deathworlders were moving, and the Kraviks, for the first time in decades, would learn what that truly meant. Earth decides. High above Earth, the orbital command station hung like a steel crown against the black of space. Inside its walls, the air was thick with the hum of power systems and the low voices of officers working at their consoles. At the heart of it all stood Admiral Kane, hands clasped behind his back, eyes locked on the incoming transmission from Velar Prime. The message replayed on the central display. The alien commander's voice was strained but steady. Behind her words came the distant echoes of war. Explosions, screams, the mechanical roar of Kravik's war machines. Even the most hardened officers in the room were silent as the signal ended. One of Kane's aides turned. "Sir, Velar Prime is over 2 sectors away. They are not an allied world. If we intervene, we risk war with the swarm. Another officer added. And the Deathworld fleet hasn't been fully mobilized in years. If we send everything, Earth will be exposed. Kane's jaw tightened. He had seen the Kravix before. He knew what no help meant for Velar Prime. Death for every living soul. We don't get to choose who's worth saving, Kane said finally, his voice low but cutting through the room like a blade. When someone calls for help, we answer. The council chamber lights dimmed as a secure channel opened. On the holoscreen appeared the Earth Council, faces cold and careful. Counselor Varen spoke first. Admiral, you know the cost of what you are suggesting. A fleet deployment of this scale will be seen as a declaration of war. Kane didn't blink. Then let them see it. If the swarm wants war, we will give them something they've never faced before. Murmurs spread among the council members. Some argued for caution, others for immediate action. The debate grew sharp, but Kane stood silent. He knew their fear wasn't of the Kravix. It was of the humans themselves. The galaxy remembered the last time the Deathworld fleet moved. Whole star empires had fallen in days. Finally, the council leader sighed. Very well. The Deathworld fleet is under your command, Kane, but understand, and there will be no turning back. Kane nodded once. There never is. In the massive hangars beneath the station, the order spread like wildfire. Gates opened, fueling lines hissed, and warship engines began to roar. Rows of armored soldiers marched aboard, their faces hidden behind black visors. Ancient dreadnoughts, ships older than some civilizations, lit up one by one. Each was armed with weapons banned in every galactic treaty, weapons humans had never dismantled. In the shadows of Dock 13 sat a vessel no one had expected to see again. The Revenant. Its hull was scarred from 100 battles, its AI core sealed under a dozen locks. It had been locked away after the last war for being too dangerous. Now Kane ordered its awakening. The ship's lights flickered to life, like a predator opening its eyes. Far away, on Velar Prime, Syrah stood at the edge of the ruined city. Through the smoke, she looked to the stars, wondering if the humans would really come. She didn't know that across the void, an entire fleet was forming, not just to answer her call, but to make a statement to the galaxy. In the war room, Kane stared at the tactical map. The Kravix forces were already tightening their hold on Velar Prime. They had no idea what was coming for them, and when the Deathworld fleet arrived, they would learn the cost of touching a world under human protection. The fleet awakens. In the darkness of space, the war docks of Earth came alive. One by one, massive bay doors slid open, revealing the shapes of warships long kept in silence. Their hulls gleamed under the pale light of the orbital beacons, each ship a piece of deadly history. Some were sleek and sharp, built for speed and precision strikes. Others were titanic and heavy, their armored plates hiding weapons no alien had seen in centuries. Engines began to hum. Deep, powerful vibrations that could be felt even through steel walls. The sound was not like normal ships. It was the growl of predators about to hunt. On the command deck of the Iron Resolve, Captain Mara Voss tightened her gloves. Admiral Kane just gave the final go, she told her crew. By the time the swarm sees us, it will already be too late. All across the fleet, crews moved with speed and precision. Missiles were loaded into launch tubes. Railguns spun up, their magnetic coils glowing. Fighter pilots climbed into cockpits, locking visors and running last checks. The fleet was not only ready for war, it had been waiting for it. Dock 13 remained still until a deep metallic thud echoed through the bay. The Revenant's systems flared online. Its hull looked like it had been through 100 battles, scorched, dented, but unbroken. Inside, its AI core whispered through the intercom, voice cold and almost human. Target coordinates received, calculating most efficient method of destruction. When the dock clamps released, the Revenant didn't drift out like other ships. It lunged forward as if eager to taste the void again. Other captains watched its silhouette pass by and felt the old fear stir in their chests. Even among Deathworlders, the Revenant had a reputation. It didn't just win battles, it erased enemies from existence. From the viewing platforms on Earth, civilians gathered to watch pairs. Ants lifted their children so they could see the great ships rising from the docks. Each vessel lit its engines, painting streaks of blue and gold across the black. Even without knowing the details, the people felt it. The Deathworld fleet was moving, and the galaxy would soon tremble. Inside the command station, Kane stood over the holomap. Dots representing his warships were forming into attack formations. The plan was already in motion. Stealth scouts had jumped ahead to track enemy positions. The main fleet would arrive only when the Kraviks were fully locked into their trap. Far from Earth, in the silent corridors of space, the first jump gates powered up. Rings of energy spun faster and faster until a blinding white light filled them. One by one, the ships entered the gates, vanishing into the folds of faster-than-light travel. The hum of their passage was felt across the station like the heartbeat of a giant. And somewhere, far beyond human space, the Kraviks still celebrated their slow victory over Valar Prime. They did not yet know that every heartbeat brought the Deathworlders closer. They did not yet see the firestorm that was coming, but they would. Shadows before the storm, the Kraviks' fleet circled Valar Prime like a pack of wolves. Their ships drifted in the black void, engines low, guns ready. From the ground, their shapes blotted out the stars, each one a reminder of the doom hanging above. Commander Sira stood in the shattered command post. Her people had gone days without real food. Water was rationed to the last drop. Every hour brought reports of more districts falling to the enemy. Yet she could not tell her soldiers the truth. That the Kraviks were preparing their final strike. Far beyond the reach of her sensors, human stealth ships had already arrived. They moved like shadows in the dark. No lights, no radio chatter. Their hulls coated in black armor that bent starlight away. Inside the lead stealth frigate, Captain Jalen Royce studied the enemy formations. "They think they have time," he said quietly. "They don't." Small drones were launched, each no bigger than a bird. They slipped between Kravik ships, mapping every weak point. One drone landed on the outer hull of a Kravik's battleship, attaching itself like a piece of drifting debris. Inside, it began transmitting the ship's codes and targeting patterns directly to the Deathworld fleet. On Valar Prime, the civilians huddled in underground shelters. Children whispered questions their parents could not answer. Above, Kravik's patrols hunted through the ruins, searching for survivors. They found a small group hiding in an old schoolhouse and dragged them into the streets. Sierra's fist clenched as she watched from the command feeds. The Kraviks didn't just want to win. They wanted to break the spirit of her people before the killing blow. In the Kravik's flagship, Overlord Vrath stood before a star map. The human SOS signal still flashed in the data logs. One of his officers hissed, "Deathworlders may answer. Do we strengthen defenses?" Vrath laughed, a low, ugly sound. "They are myths to frighten weak species. Let them come. We will burn them first." But not everyone on his bridge shared his confidence. Old soldiers remembered the stories, whispers of a war long past when the Deathworld fleet had erased an empire in 3 days. Those who had fought then never laughed when humans were mentioned. In the silent black between stars, Admiral Kane watched the streams of stolen Kravik's data. "Good," he muttered, seeing their overconfidence. "They think this is just another world to crush." He turned to his officers. "It will be their last mistake." The human fleet was still days away, but Kane had already begun shaping the battlefield. Kravik supply lines were being cut by stealth teams. Ships carrying fresh fuel simply vanished in the dark. Small, precise strikes. Nothing big enough to reveal the human's full hand. Not yet, back-o. In Valar Prime, Sira stood under the night sky. Through the smoke, she thought she saw faint streaks far above. Too quick, too straight to be falling debris. For a moment, she let herself believe it. That somewhere up there, the Deathworlders were watching. That they were close. In the Kravik's war room, alarms began to flash. A supply freighter had gone missing. Then another. Vrath's smile faded. "Find them," he growled. "Now." But it was already too late. The shadows were in place, the trap was closing, and when it snapped shut, it would be with fire. First contact, last warning. The night sky above Valar Prime was still, too still. The Kravik ships hung in orbit like black stones, their weapons quiet but ready. Sira stood on the roof of the bunker, scanning the heavens for any sign of the humans. She told herself she was being foolish. The Deathworlders might never come. Then it happened. A streak of white fire cut across the sky, then another and another. They came in silence. No thunder, no warning. only light. Kravik's sensors lit up in alarm, their patrol ships scattering. It was already too late. From the darkness above, human stealth frigates dropped into low orbit. They were shaped like blades, sharp and cold. Without a word, they opened fire. Bolts of blue energy sliced through Kravik's warships before their shields could rise. 2 patrol cruisers exploded in silent bursts of light, debris falling toward the planet like dying stars. Syra's comm crackled. "This is Captain Royce of the Death World Fleet. Commander Syra, hold your ground. We are securing a landing zone." She barely had time to reply before a shadow fell over her. She turned and froze. A human soldier stood before her, armored in black and silver. The visor of his helmet reflected the fires around them. He spoke with no hesitation. "You called. We're here." In orbit, the Kravik's flagship roared to life. Overlord Vrath appeared on the human comm channel, his voice dripping with contempt. "You come for insects? Do you think you can frighten the swarm?" On the bridge of the Iron Resolve, Admiral Kane leaned forward, his voice cold as steel. "You have 1 hour to leave this world. 1 hour. After that, there will be nothing left of you to bury." Vrath laughed, a deep, guttural sound. "You will not frighten us, Deathworlder. We will wipe you from the stars." The channel cut. Kane stood motionless. His officers watched him, waiting for the order. "Lock targeting on their fleet," he said at last. "Hold fire until I say. Then give them everything." On the surface, Sierra walked beside the human soldier through the ruins. Every step made her more aware of him. The calm in his movements, the way he scanned every shadow without fear. She realized something strange. It wasn't just that humans were dangerous. It was that they seemed certain they would win. Above them, Kravik's warships formed into attack lines. The enemy thought they were ready. They didn't know that this was exactly what Kane wanted. The humans had come. The warning had been given. The clock was ticking. The fire unleashed. The hour was over. In orbit, the Kravik's fleet waited, their guns ready, their confidence unshaken. They believed the Deathworlders were only stories. They believed wrong. Admiral Kane stood on the bridge of the Iron Resolve, eyes fixed on the enemy formation. "Fire," he said. The void exploded. From every human warship came storms of light and metal. Railguns hurled tungsten slugs at near-light speed, tearing through Kravik's shields like paper. Missile swarms rose in perfect arcs, each one splitting into dozens of smaller warheads. In seconds, the first line of Kravik's ships was gone. On the surface, Sierra and her people watched the sky turn in. To a battlefield, lines of burning debris streaked downward, lighting the ruins in flashes of fire. The sound arrived moments later, a deep rolling thunder that shook the ground. Then the Revenant moved. It did not rush. It glided forward like a predator, its black hull swallowing light. When it fired, the beam was silent. A single lance of pure energy that cut through 3 enemy battleships in one pass. Their reactors went critical, vanishing in blossoms of blue flame. The Kravik's comms erupted in panic, voices screaming for orders. On the Kravik's flagship, Overlord Vrath bellowed for his fleet to counterattack, but their targeting systems were blind. Human stealth tech danced between their sensors. Every shot they fired hit empty space. Kane's voice came over the fleet channel, calm as ever. "Push them into the planet's shadow." The Deathworlders moved as one, ship after ship, driving the Kravik's back, herding them into a trap they couldn't see. In the shadow of Velar Prime, the Revenant powered up something it had not used in decades. Inside its core, a weapon older than most civilizations began to hum. Even the human crew fell silent. They knew what was coming. A single sphere of compressed plasma formed at the ship's bow. When it launched, it didn't explode on impact. It erased the target. One moment, a Kravik super dreadnought filled the shadow. The next, it was gone, atomized into drifting particles. Across the battlefield, the effect was instant. The Kraviks broke formation, their warships scattering in blind panic. Deathworlders' ships hunted them down without mercy. For every volley the Kraviks fired, the humans returned 10. On the ground, Sierra's people began to cheer. They had not seen hope in weeks. Now hope roared above them in the form of human steel and fire. In the command chair, Kane watched the last enemy cruiser explode. His hands rested calmly on the armrests. Clean the field, he ordered. No Kravik ship would leave this battle alive. The galaxy would remember this day, and the Kraviks would never forget the name of the world they had tried to take. After the flames, the sky above Velar Prime was quiet. No more enemy ships, no more fire raining from the heavens, only the drifting remains of the Kravik's fleet, glowing faintly as they fell into the planet's atmosphere. On the surface, the people emerged from the shelters. They stepped into the broken streets, their eyes searching the sky where the Deathworld fleet still hung in orbit. For the first time in weeks, there was no fear in their faces, only wonder. Commander Sira walked toward the landing zone. A column of human soldiers stood there, armored and still. At their center was Admiral Kane. He removed his helmet, the cold air carrying the faint scent of smoke and steel. "You saved my world," Sira said, her voice steady but low. Kane shook his head. "We didn't save it. We made sure no one could take it from you." Behind him, human engineers were already unloading crates of supplies. Medics knelt beside wounded Velarans, treating them without hesitation. Children stared up at the towering human soldiers, unafraid. One boy saluted, and a Marine returned it without a word. In orbit, salvage crews moved among the wreckage. Every piece of Kravik's technology was collected. Nothing was left behind for them to rebuild with. The message was clear. If you cross the Deathworlders, you lose everything. That night, a beacon signal left Velar Prime. It was not a call for help. It was a declaration. To every world that could hear it, the words were the same. This planet is under human protection. Across the galaxy, the reaction was instant. Allies of the Kraviks went silent. Enemies of Earth thought twice before acting, and in dark corners, whispers began again about the Deathworlders. Not myths, not legends, but a truth you did not test before leaving. Kane stood with Sira one last time. She asked, "Why did you come for us?" "We are strangers to you." He looked at her, eyes calm but unyielding. "When someone cries for help, we answer." The fleet rose into the night, engines painting the sky with light. Soon, the stars swallowed them. But their presence remained, not in sight, not in sound, but in the unshakable knowledge that if the Deathworlders came once, they would come again.